Nothing in this life can happen physically unless it happens in our minds first.
Most hosts never achieve the results they hoped for. They're falling short on listenership and monetization, meaning their message isn't being heard and their show ends up costing them money. This podcast was created to help you grow your listenership and make money while you're at it. Get ready to take notes. Here's your host, Adam Adams.
Hey, podcaster, it's your host, Adam A. Adams, and we're talking about your life vision. So before you press record, before you go and schedule that next meeting, before you decide to do the next thing that might be on your agenda or you might think you want to do, I want you to figure out, how do you filter that through your life's true vision? And to filter something through your life's true vision, you first have to have a life vision. And that life vision, just like our fingerprints, it's going to be unique for everybody. So I might share a little bit of my vision today. I might share a little bit of my fingerprint today. That doesn't mean you need to copy and imitate my fingerprint. You've got your own fingerprint. You've got your own life vision. You might not know it yet. You may not have studied your fingerprint so far, but I need you to look into the mirror, look into the future, and figure out what's important to you and what's not. And then we can figure out how to filter out all of the decisions through your purpose, through your vision, through what you care about. Here's a problem that always seems to happen when there is an entrepreneur or somebody like you and I who start a podcast. We go crazy and things get out of balance. And that's actually okay for a while, for a short time, maybe max, depending on how out of balance it is. Maybe it's okay for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, or maybe even a couple of years, as long as everything fits with our vision and is filtered through our vision. Now, I recently was interviewing Alex Pardo. Alex is actually a really good friend, and he's been a friend for a long time. And he's a client. He's been a client for years as well. Alex has a podcast that is about flipping houses. And I interviewed him on the podcast. And during the episode of interviewing on the podcast, he talked about how during his own podcast, there came a day that he told everybody, even though he identified as this wholesale guru, that means that he buys houses and sells them to somebody else really, really quickly, makes a good profit. He doesn't have to do all of the fix and flipping. He doesn't have to do all the work. He has a lot less of the risk, and he's able to make a good, pretty penny. Now, Alex was passionate about real estate because real estate investing is a great vehicle for most of us. For most of us, we ought to have a business that is going to support our lifestyle, and we ought to be putting that extra money to work. I was actually at my parents' house, and my stepdad, who's the one who got me into real estate investing a long time ago, it looked like this. My stepdad told me from the time I was about 8 years old that I needed to save 10%. I needed to pay myself first 10%. I needed to invest 10%. And I'm like, freak, Dad, you pay me $1 an hour. If I save 10%, invest 10%, donate 10%, and whatever the fourth one is for 10%, I can't think of it right now, I'm going to have 60 cents. What can I buy? Even back then, it was barely a candy bar. And so I didn't believe in it. I didn't do it. I didn't follow what he told me, even though it was freaking wise advice. It wasn't until college that I got into real estate investing, and it wasn't even my idea. He gave me a gift. I don't remember if it was a Christmas gift or a birthday gift, but that year in 2005, before graduating college, like in the middle of college, actually, I did 6 years to get a small degree. I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but I did 6 years to get a small degree because I kept changing my major. Anyway, the point is that he gifted me this cabin lot, and I was stoked to finally own a piece of America. This was the beginning of my American dream. I never did it before. I never believed in it. And I recall as a college student, a struggling college student about to get married and all that stuff, I didn't have a whole bunch of money. And his accountant turned around and said, wait a second, you can't just give him this property. or else you're going to pay a whole bunch in taxes. He's got to pay for it. So I ended up paying $100. It doesn't sound like a lot, but I was in college as a bartender preparing for a wedding, and I didn't have a whole bunch of money. I didn't have a lot of money. I put all of my money went to books and food and rent. My dad gifted this to me. I was so stoked. And then I got the call. Oh, Adam, you're going to have to pay for it. How much, Dad? $100. Now, to you, this sounds miraculous. To me at the time, I was like, how am I going to do that? You know, because like you're not a good gift receiver if you don't follow through with all this stuff. How would that have looked? How ungrateful would that have looked if I didn't do it? And so I found a way to get the $100 together, paid my dad. And I was talking to him recently. He forgot about it. He forgot that he made me pay for the thing, because I think it was such a small amount. There's a reason, there's a purpose for me sharing this. Anyway, I sold that property 2 years later and made more money than I would have made in the first year of graduating with my degree. My degree was music education. I wanted to be a band teacher. I wanted to teach kids my passion, which my passion at the time was absolutely music. I composed music. I was that young kid. You could almost say a prodigy, but I'm no Mozart. I'll tell you that much. But I was that young kid that took to this thing. Although I wasn't really any smarter than anyone else, I kind of put my nose down, and this became my favorite thing. And then I sell this piece of property, and I'm thinking, my freaking stepdad has been right this whole time. Ever since I was 8 years old and I was working for him for $1 an hour, all of that stuff that he told me was true. I read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Robert Kiyosaki says in that book, you need to have a business and you need to put your money aside. And I said, hey, you know, I might not have believed my dad when he told me this, but now that Robert Kiyosaki, some author, is telling me the exact same thing, now it's true. You know, now I can believe it. So I started following my dad's advice in college. I start my business. I'm netting $20,000 a month as a kid in college. And it was amazing. And I start investing. I buy an apartment. I buy a small triplex, a 3-unit multifamily, my first multifamily asset. And I start working on this. And then I go through some trouble during the downturn of 2008, 9, 10, and 11. And I'm afraid of it. And then my dad comes. I'm living in Denver at this time. And he drives out to Denver and we go to a real estate conference together. And dad tells me to come. He'll pay for the whole thing. So he pays for my ticket. And then I'm seeing that real estate really is amazing. So I'm stoked and I get involved. And I start doing some really cool transactions. There was a guy that funded me. His name's Steve. He ended up funding everything and I did all the work. So I didn't have to come out with any of the money and he didn't have to do any of the work, any of the hard part. So it was a win-win. And one thing leads to another. And I end up deciding in 2015 to be completely full-time. My now business, because remember, part of what we're talking about is it's really helpful to have a business that pays you and then to invest the difference in something else like real estate investing. And I have this business. It's going great and I'm excited. But here's the problem. I stopped listening to my dad. I don't know why, but I do. So you remember the save 10%, invest 10%, donate 10%. And I think there's another 10% that I just can't think of while I'm recording this episode. I'm not paying myself first. I'm not putting money aside for a rainy day anymore. I'm making so much money in my businesses, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm making so much money. And as new money, think about it as new money. New money. You never had it before. You never could afford all of these things. And now you've got the money and you want to get everything that you thought. So going back to part of what I was sharing, what I wanted to share before is I was sitting down with my dad recently and he's talking about how they're doing and where they are. And I'm feeling like, dang it, I should be doing all of that. I should be saving my money. I should be making sure to be there. And so I'm like, yeah, I make good money, but I spend almost every dime. I spend everything. And interestingly enough, there came a time where I sat down with a business coach. The business coach is somebody who supports you to being stronger in business. Now, I coach people for podcast. So I have the experience, the track record, and the connections, and the history, and helping other people and selling my own first podcast, that I'm in a place where I can support other people with their podcasts. And a while back, I needed somebody who could be my business coach, who could basically tell me the same things my dad tells me, but hearing it from another mouth, because for some reason, it's easier to listen to somebody who's not your family member. And so now we're going to talk about the life vision. Now we're going to talk about what this even means. So I go and fill out this life vision. Actually, I should back up a little bit. I should back up and share with you how hesitant I was to do this, how long it took me to do this. So my business coach joins me and he's like, all right, the first step is this life vision. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do that. I'll trust you. I'll do anything that you tell me. But right now I've got all these things that need to happen. So can we finish these first? And he's like, okay, we'll finish those first. This isn't the way I do things with my other clients, but you're in a pickle. Let's work on this thing, the things that you need right now, Adam. So he did. That's what he did. And I didn't do my vision. And here I am working 50, 60, 70, 80, even up to 120 hours in a week. My health was declining. My relationships were declining. The relationship that I had with my children, not strong enough, because I was irritable. I was unhealthy. I was stressed. I was overworked, and I was supplementing that stress with alcohol. And I wasn't able to sleep very much. And the next morning I would be stressed and not in a good state of mind, and it would be rough. And so I go to my business coach with the next shitty thing that's happening to me. That's the way I felt. It was happening to me. I never thought that I was causing it. Okay. So I go to him and he's like, you got to do your life vision. And I say, yeah, well, okay, but look at this problem. Can we solve this problem first? He's like, all right, we'll solve this problem. I can tell you're in a bind. I can tell you're in a pickle. I can tell you need to get this done. I can tell you need the money. I can tell that you need the freedom. I can tell that this is a priority for you. Whatever it was, because this kept happening. And then he would say, all right, let's do the life vision. And I'd go, great. Okay, I can't wait. I mean, it sounds great. Let's work on this first. And I just kept doing that. And one day he said that he would kick me out of his freaking coaching program. He goes, I'm going to kick you out of this thing if you don't have your life vision by, I think he gave me like a month's notice or 3 weeks notice. And I was like, well, that's douchey. I'm paying you a shit ton of money every month so that I can learn and grow and I can have your support. And now you're like giving me an ultimatum. Do this vision, write up this vision when I don't have time. I don't have the energy, but I've got to do this within, let's just say it was 3 weeks. I've got to get all of this done in 3 weeks when I've got other shit that's important and pressing. And he said, yep, I'm doing that with all of my clients. There's a couple of you. Most of you have done it. Most of you done it the way that I told you before you even launched. I mean, before I even started with you. And you and just a couple of other people have been dragging your feet, and look at what it's doing to you. And I'm like, no, it's not the vision that is putting me in these positions. And he just says, just do it or you're out. So I do it. And I loved going through the process of looking at my life's vision, looking at what I would spend my time on if I was in a perfect world. What time of the day would I wake up? What would be the first thing that I went to? What would be the second thing? What's meaningful to me? How much would I read? How much would I hug my kids? How much time would I spend exercising? Would I spend time outside or inside? Would I meditate or not? Would I do yoga or not? Would I do CrossFit or not? Would I go mountain biking or not? Would I go jeeping or not? Would I go for a walk or not? What time? How much time? And I do my vision as a weekly planner and a monthly planner also. But I started with the weekly part. I started with the daily what do I want to do every day? All right. So every day I want to do this. 3 times a week, I want to do this other thing. 1 time a week, I want to do this. So some of my fingerprint, again, you and I have a different fingerprint. I will give you some ideas, but you can't just copy my fingerprint. You can't just copy my life vision. You've got to have your life vision. So some of the things I said is I'm going to have a date night at least once a week. I selected Monday nights. So she and I had been dating for a long time. We decided to make sure that we went out on a date every single Monday. That was a perfect day for both of us to be able to do it. So we go and we start our date nights. And now our relationship's getting stronger. It becomes a non-negotiable. With my children, I start having a date night with each boy. Date is an open-ended way to put it, but I used to spend time with each one. I started spending time with each one, and I still do. I finally started doing that. I finally started going to the gym every day and going mountain biking every day, practically every day, either one. I mean, sometimes it's raining, sometimes you break something, hurt yourself really bad. Like I hurt my ribs. And so that kind of held me back, but I had my vision of the things that were non-negotiable so long as I didn't have a cracked rib or so long as it was not raining outside. So any good day, I'm outside, I'm doing this. And I start working much, much less because I found that the vision that I created didn't account for working 120 hours that week. It did not even account for working 40 hours in a week. The only way that I could live my vision was to work less than 20 hours in a week. So it didn't happen overnight, but I started working between 4 hours a week to about 12 hours a week. And that was able to allow me to be able to put the focus on some of the other things that I was missing in my balance. Again, balance is not something you will always have. When you're starting new ventures, there's going to be a little bit that's out of balance, and that's okay. When you're starting a new balance, there's a little bit of give and take, but you got to have some of those non-negotiables each day, each week, each month, and each year. Like how many times are you going to travel outside of your state? How many times are you going to travel outside your country? Where are you going to go? Are you going to learn a new language? How much time are you going to spend learning a new language? I don't read the Bible, but I know I have a lot of listeners that probably would think, hey, I want to study the scriptures. I want to study those scriptures and see what the word of God says. I want to meditate. Now, I'm not very good at meditation. I do my meditation in an ice bath. It's the only place that I can clear my mind for 3 to 12 minutes. Between 3 and 12 minutes, I do an ice bath multiple days a week, almost every day. It's part of my vision. Mountain biking, part of my vision. Exercise, part of my vision. Eating right, part of my vision. I sponsored a conference recently, and there was a whole bunch of food options at different restaurants. None of them hit the macros that I was looking for. So part of my vision is I eat healthy food that I know what's in it. So every single day that I went to this event, I brought my own overnight oats for breakfast. I brought my own breakfast. I brought my own lunch, and I brought my own second lunch. I eat a lot of times per day because I exercise a lot and I need to fuel my body. So I brought breakfast, lunch, and second lunch. I stopped buying 30 packs of beers and going through them once a week. Part of my vision was I'm not going to wake up hungover. I'm not going to wake up in a bad state of mind. That's going to keep me away from my other goals. And so as you create your vision, you are going to see the things that are most important to you. And it's probably not your business or your podcast. It's probably your family. It's probably your relationships. It's probably yourself. Our body is a temple, regardless of what you believe. If this is a spiritual, religious part, and that God is asking you to have a healthy body, or if you just believe that we need to be able to live longer, be there for our kids, not die, not have cancer, not be able to pick up our spouse or our children, whatever it is, not be able to go up and down stairs and have to take wheelchairs just because we let our health go. you're going to figure out that you've got some things that are meaningful to you, that are important to you. And I want you to find a way to schedule them in your life vision, in your daily life's vision. I want you to, like I said in the beginning, I want you to create this thing in your mind and on paper first. And then I want you to go and do everything that you can to fulfill what's on that paper, what's in your mind, in your vision, what's in your calendar, to be able to put energy and effort toward the things that matter to you. And that's going to automatically take away the energy and effort to the things that don't serve you. In my case, I took time and effort away from alcohol and overworking myself, and I put it toward relationships and my own health. And what I found, and I think you'll find this too, as you become healthier, as you read more books, as you have more energy than you do today, as you focus on the relationship with your partner, your friends, and your family, as you focus on those relationships and they grow, where energy goes, things grow. Actually, I don't think I'm saying it right, but where energy goes, something flows. I think I'm saying it wrong, but you, I believe, get the point. As you focus on those things, they will grow. You will strengthen those like exercising a muscle. As you focus on the relationship with your partner, as you focus on the relationship with your family, as you focus on your own body's health, your own mental health, your own physical health, your own cardiovascular health, as you get better sleep and have adequate sleep, you'll find that your income starts going up. In my case, I went from working 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 120 hours in a week, making a certain amount, to working 30 hours, 20 hours, and even 4 hours a week, and making even more. So, as we finish up this episode about the life vision, I'm going to call you to action. I'm going to ask you to take some time to focus on calendaring out what you do on Mondays, Monday mornings, Saturdays. I take my kids to places like Elitch Gardens or parkour every single Saturday. And as I record this on a Friday. Tonight is movie night. Last night was game night with my boys. We played something called 99 or Bust last night. Tonight, we've already got a movie queued up. My youngest boy said, hey, this is the movie I want to watch tomorrow. Can I look to see if I can find it? He found it on Amazon Prime. So we've got that ready for tonight on Friday night. That's part of my vision. And then tomorrow, me and the boys know that we're going to Elitch Gardens, which is our amusement park in Denver. We got season passes, so it's fairly inexpensive to go whenever we want. That's what living a vision looks like. Game nights, movie nights, parkour, bike rides, walking, Lagoon Amusement Park, Seven Peaks, whatever, Six Flags, to be able to grow those relationships. And in turn, here's the important part. You'll probably be happier, healthier. You'll probably make more money, and you'll probably be able to learn that balance over time. Stay with me. The next episode is going to be great as well. I'll see you there. You're not alone if you're ready to either get your very first affordable microphone or if you're ready to upgrade your equipment to some legit podcasting studio equipment. Because on all of the forums over the last few months, I'm seeing this all the time. Even my own personal clients that work with my team, they're ready to get that next microphone. They're asking us for it. Additionally, when I'm on discovery calls with potential clients, they're always asking for this stuff. Hey, what mic do you recommend? Hey, what lighting do you recommend? What webcam should I be using? So many questions. And so what we did, my whole team has put together a PDF so that if you're one of those people who is looking to either get your very first affordable microphone, or if you're ready to upgrade your equipment to more professional podcast studio equipment, whether it's soundproofing or whatever, we've got you covered by going to growyourshow.com/PDF. And you can download the PDF for free, or right there on the webpage is everything that you would have and you don't need to download the PDF. Either way, just go to growyourshow.com/PDF, which will put you to the podcasting equipment that me and my team have personally vetted. I'll see you on the next episode.